Hello America, this is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is May the 18th, 2016. I'm at an article from The Guardian here titled B-52 Bomber Crashes on Guam, dated May the 18th, 2016. Well, it looks like a B-52H Stratofortress bomber has been destroyed in a fiery crash shortly after takeoff at a U.S. Air Force base in Guam. All 7 crew members survived and got away safely from the wreckage, military officials said. The plane crashed at about 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday on the flight line at Andersen Air Force Base, which adjoins the village of Yigo in U.S. territory, the base said in a statement. The crew members were from the 69th Expeditionary Bomb Squadron and had been taking off on a routine training mission when the plane crashed, the military said. The cause was under investigation. So, it seems to be a bit of a problem with the U.S. military. Let's see what that problem is. I'm now at an article from Fox News Politics titled Budget Cuts Leaving Marine Corps' Aircraft Grounded, published April 17, 2016. Let's check out the video for this.
U.S. Marines at their breaking point, being asked to do more with less. Long wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, the fight against ISIS, budget cuts, all taking a toll on the U.S. Marine Corps, forcing fighter jets and helicopters to break down, losing valuable hours in the air to train, and according to the Marines and military analysts, putting our nation at risk. National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin traveled down to 2 Marine Corps air stations to receive an exclusive first-hand look at how America's military appears to be breaking.
This is when the landing gear door came off, this is the hole that it made in the intake on its way down to the engine.
Marine Major Mike Malone is a maintenance officer for a squadron of F-18 Hornets preparing to deploy into combat overseas. This particular jet bombed Muammar Gaddafi's compound in Libya in 1986, 30 years ago today. It's still flying. Recently, when the Marines needed a part for this plane, they tried to cannibalize the hinge from a museum jet on display on the USS Yorktown.
It's very, very old to be flying for an aircraft. These aircraft were designed to fly for 6,000 hours.
The Marines are extending them to fly 8,000. Budget cuts that reduce the force to 30,000 fewer Marines and wars that were supposed to end but didn't are making it harder to patch these old planes together.
Imagine taking like a 1995 Cadillac and trying to make it a Ferrari. You're trying to make it faster, more efficient, but it's still an old airframe, so the aircraft is constantly breaking.
The Marines that we don't have enough of them to do the added work.
Sometimes it takes the Marines 18 months to get parts for these early model F-18 jets whose production was halted in 2001. This F-18 has to deploy again in July.
Colonel, where are the wings to this plane?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're on other jets.
Colonel Harry Thomas, call sign Crash, deployed to the Pacific with 10 jets last year. Only 7 made it. A fuel leak caused his F-18 to catch fire in Guam. Instead of ejecting, he landed safely, saving taxpayers $29 million. Back home in Beaufort, South Carolina, skin cracks forced this F-18 into a hangar.
We don't know where the engines are. They're in another airplane somewhere.
So basically you had to cannibalize this plane to get other squadrons airborne.
Yes, ma'am.
Will this plane ever fly again?
Yeah, we plan to have it flying by the summer.
Colonel Crash Thomas has deployed 6 times to Iraq and Afghanistan. Right now, only 2 of his 14 planes can fly. His Marines deploy in 3 months.
We're an operational squadron. We're supposed to be flying jets, not building them.
Most frustrating is that his pilots aren't getting the flying hours they need. Training time in the air is down more than 50%.
And you're supposed to have 15 hours per month, right?
Yep. This last 30 days, our average flight time per pilot was just over 4 hours.
What do you think is causing this sort of backlog?
Money. I mean, everything goes back to funding.
U.S. military spending has declined from nearly $700 billion in 2010 to $560 billion last year. Automatic spending cuts began in 2011. Delays in the state-of-the-art Joint Strike Fighter, which is slated to replace the F-18, but has been plagued by cost overruns, leading to a perfect storm. Many highly trained mechanics left for jobs in the private sector.
quite honestly, it is coming on the backs of our young Marines. So, my Marines over there are the ones who are working 20 to 21 hours a day to get them ready to go on deployment. And the likelihood of a ground mishap or them making a mistake late at night and the pressure to perform is really where I see the bigger safety risk.
Commanders who I've spoken to say they are seeing an unprecedented level of stress on the force. You can see it in the faces of the pilots, but especially in the faces of the maintainers.
We have to get the aircraft in the air for the troops in combat.
Here in New River, North Carolina, Colonel Sean Saline oversees 9 helicopter squadrons, including these CH-53 Super Stallions, the workhorses of the Marine Corps in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Unlike previous wars, we didn't have a period of time afterwards where we didn't have tasking. There was no time to catch our breath.
Of these 147 helicopters, only 42 can fly right now. Just 27% of these Super Stallions are mission capable.
So you can really see how much stuff is in here and how easy it would be to miss some small minute detail, a small amount of wear that could eventually potentially cause a fire.
Lieutenant General Dog Davis ordered the Marine Corps to refurbish all of these old CH-53 helicopters to their pre-war condition, fixing the chafing wires and jerry-rigged fuel lines that were repaired in theater to keep these birds flying. Davis oversees Marine Corps aviation and is losing sleep over it. He has 2 sons who are Marine pilots.
The biggest thing is right now, after 15 years of hard service and hard fighting and deploying around the world, we don't have enough airplanes in the flight line to make sure that the Marines are ready to go and go out the door.
Are you losing guys from exhaustion?
Absolutely. I mean, there's only so much you can look a young Marine in the eye and at some point say, hey, I want you to do one more for America and apple pie, and at some point, that gets old.
Pablo Brown's squadron deploys to the Middle East in the coming days. At Marine Corps Air Station, Beaufort, South Carolina, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
And late this afternoon, the Chief of Navy Operations says that they are working on this and, quote, increasing the budget on maintenance. We will continue to follow this story.
Well, here's a zany idea. How about if we stay out of the Middle East and let them trade in whatever they want to trade in? Maybe it's not in petrodollars, who cares? Why don't we stay out of the Middle East and out of other countries and just protect ours? Wouldn't that be a crazy idea? We would save so much money, and maybe we could really have a military back again. But no, that won't happen, because we are going to be arming Libyan rebels. Yes, I'm at American Action News at an article titled Breaking Obama Administration to Arm Libyans, dated May the 18th, 2016. I guess we just didn't get enough of arming the Mujahideen, the Taliban, and this, that, and the other rebel faction. So we've got to arm some more rebels. It seems that with all the money we're saving disarming our military, we're going to be arming some more rebels. Isn't that special? The new Libyan puppet government has only been in power for 6 weeks, but on Tuesday, Secretary of State John Kerry signaled the U.S. is ready to help train and arm its forces in the fight against ISIS, also known as the CIA. Speaking in Vienna, Kerry urged the international community to support the new unity puppet government, which he said was the only legitimate one in Libya and which must now start to work. Part of the support would also mean backing the new puppet government's efforts to secure an exemption from the United Nations arms embargo. The fledgling puppet government, which arrived by boat from neighboring Tunisia on March 31st, is the only entity that can unify the country, Kerry said. It is the only way to generate the cohesion necessary to defeat the Islamic State, also known as CIA. The Libyan Prime Minister, who appeared with Kerry, said he welcomed the support. But the GNA has struggled to consolidate its position in the Libyan capital. I guess many people there in Libya don't want to be ruled by the UN communist regime. In short, the Libyan government appears to be built on the hopes and dreams of the United Nations, communist regime, a fickle coalition of groups without a common interest and dubious loyalties. Sounds like another UN nightmare. So, as our weaponry, gear, and military falls apart back at home, we make more and more budget cuts on our military and stretch them out throughout the globe far and wide. We are sure to take that money that we saved from our military and arm rebels and jihadists and terrorists all over the globe so that they can fight against their government. And while we are arming these so-called rebels, more and more of our troops could lose their lives because of shortfalls in the budget and them not having what they need. But have no fear, because we have plenty of refugees coming in. And when these refugees come in, they will be able to join our military from day one. So there you have it, folks. We've got it. We're just going to trade our existing American military for an Islamic jihadi refugee military. There you go. This is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I'll leave the links below. I've got your 6.